Have you ever wondered if the stories of lost lands like Atlantis or Eldorado might actually be based on real places that once existed? By the end of this video, you'll discover why many mythical lands could be echoes of actual civilizations, catastrophes, and forgotten chapters of human history that mainstream archaeology has overlooked. For centuries, explorers have searched for lost worlds, places said to rise and fall beneath the waves, shimmer into view only once every 7 years, or vanish into the mists of time. They're whispered about in legend, etched into ancient texts, and even mapped on charts drawn by sailors who swore they saw them. Atlantis, Eldorado, Lemuria, Hy-Brasil, could they be echoes of something real, some forgotten truth buried in sand or sea? Before you dismiss them as fantasy, ask yourself this: why do so many cultures, isolated by oceans and time, tell stories of lands that sank, vanished, or were hidden from the eyes of the world? Is it coincidence? Or are these myths fragments of real places, distorted by time, memory, and myth-making? From Plato's Atlantis to the shimmering city of Ys in the Celtic West, tales of lost lands have captivated human imagination for thousands of years. These are not just bedtime stories or the stuff of fantasy novels. They are ancient myths, carried down through generations, woven into the very fabric of cultures across the globe. Some of them are beautiful paradises, others warnings of divine punishment. But all of them, every single one, share one thing in common: they were lost, sunken, hidden, gone. In this documentary, we'll explore the strange, haunting world of mythological lands. We'll journey to the heart of ancient Greece, dive beneath the waters of the Indian Ocean, and travel deep into the legends of Wales, Russia, and the far corners of Celtic folklore. From the vanished city of Dvārakā in India to the mysterious hollow earth realm of Agartha, we'll ask a question that has fascinated thinkers, explorers, and dreamers for generations. Were these places ever real? Some of them were drawn on maps. Some still appear in local legends told by elders today. And others, they've become the obsession of treasure hunters, scholars, and conspiracy theorists alike. But how did these myths begin? Why do they persist? And could it be that, buried beneath centuries of sediment and story, there's a core of historical truth? The line between myth and history is often razor thin. Ancient cultures didn't always separate fact from fiction the way we do. For them, the physical and the spiritual worlds were deeply intertwined. Mountains were gods, rivers had voices, and cities? Cities could vanish overnight if the gods were displeased. This makes it incredibly difficult for modern historians and archaeologists to unravel what is real behind these ancient tales. Are they symbolic? Were they cautionary parables? Or are they records, vague and distorted, of real catastrophes, migrations, and forgotten civilizations? One of the biggest challenges is that many of these places are said to be submerged, lying beneath oceans or lakes, or cloaked in mysterious mists that only lift under rare, mystical circumstances. Others are said to exist within the earth itself, like Agartha, a realm in the hollow earth believed to be inhabited by an enlightened race. These kinds of legends blur the boundaries between geography and belief, science and speculation. And yet, science is catching up. Rising sea levels, plate tectonics, and satellite imaging have revealed that entire cities have vanished underwater. Civilizations have disappeared without a trace. Could it be that ancient peoples witnessed these events and passed them down the only way they knew how? Through story? What makes this even more compelling is that many of these legends crop up in cultures that had no contact with one another. The Maya speak of submerged cities. So do the Tamils. So do the Celts, the Slavs, and the Chinese. Is this universal storytelling? Or does it hint at a deeper, shared memory, a lost chapter of human history waiting to be rediscovered? Let's begin with the crown jewel of lost lands, Atlantis. First mentioned by Plato in 360 BCE, Atlantis was said to be a powerful utopian island nation that existed 9,000 years before his time. It was a place of extraordinary wealth, technology, and architecture, a civilization that, according to Plato, grew arrogant and was eventually swallowed by the sea in a single day and night. Now, many believe Plato invented the tale as an allegory to criticize hubris and moral decay, but others aren't so sure. In the centuries since, countless explorers have claimed to find evidence of Atlantis in places as far-flung as the Azores, the Caribbean, and even Antarctica. In 2011, satellite images revealed strange rectangular formations off the coast of Morocco, leading to a wave of speculation. And geologists have pointed to real cataclysmic floods and volcanic eruptions, such as the Thera eruption in ancient Santorini, as possible triggers for the myth. Was Atlantis real? Perhaps not as Plato described it, but could his story have been a memory of a real disaster passed down over millennia? Next, we head deep inside the Earth with the legend of Agartha, also known as the Hollow Earth. It's a mythical kingdom believed by some to lie beneath our feet, accessible through hidden tunnels at the poles or high mountain ranges. According to 19th century occultists and early theosophists, Agartha is a realm of wisdom and enlightenment, inhabited by a superior race of beings who fled the surface during some ancient cataclysm. The myth surged in popularity after World War II, fueled by conspiracy theories and pseudo-scientific claims. While modern geology firmly rejects the idea of a hollow planet, the legend of Agartha continues to fascinate. It reflects a universal desire, the belief that a wiser, more advanced society might still be out there waiting. Traveling west, we find ourselves in the mists of Avalon. In Arthurian legend, Avalon is the island where Excalibur was forged and where King Arthur was taken after his final battle. Some say it lies in the modern-day town of Glastonbury, England, whose ancient abbey and nearby hill, the Tor, were once surrounded by water. Archaeological digs have uncovered Neolithic remains and a history of early Christian mysticism in the area. The blending of pagan and Christian lore helped Avalon become a symbol of paradise, rebirth, and otherworldly beauty. Whether real or myth, Avalon reflects a deep yearning for a lost golden age and perhaps a hope for Arthur's return. In the icy north, Buyan emerges, a mysterious island in Slavic mythology that appears and disappears with the tides, or at the whim of the gods. It's said to be the home of powerful forces like the Zorya, Slavic star goddesses, and the winds themselves. On Buyan, a magical stone controls life and death. Yet, some scholars interpret Buyan as symbolic, representing the unreachable or unknowable. Yet tales of phantom islands are not uncommon. Some even persisted on maps for centuries. Could Buyan be a folk memory of a real island lost to rising seas, or a spiritual metaphor for a world beyond reach? From there we sail into Welsh legend and discover Cantre'r Gwaelod, the Lowland Hundred. It is said that it lies beneath Cardigan Bay, off the west coast of Wales, which was once a rich and fertile land protected by dikes. But when a drunken watchman neglected his duties, the sea rushed in and swallowed it whole. To this day, locals claim to hear church bells ringing beneath the waves, and during particularly low tides, ancient tree stumps emerge from the sands, evidence of a prehistoric forest. Could Cantre'r Gwaelod be a poetic retelling of actual coastal flooding? In the land of bards and storytellers, such events often became legend. In India, Dvārakā stands as a rare example of a mythical city that might have left physical traces. Said to be the home of Lord Krishna, the city was described in ancient Hindu texts as a glorious metropolis built on the western coast. According to legend, it was submerged beneath the sea after Krishna's departure. In the early 2000s, marine archaeologists discovered what appeared to be submerged structures off the coast of Gujarat. Columns, roads and ruins were found beneath the water. While debate continues, the find has lent weight to the idea that Dvārakā could have been real, its story immortalized through divine narrative. Then there's Hy-Brasil, a phantom island that haunted maps for centuries. Said to lie west of Ireland, Hy-Brasil appeared as a round island shrouded in mist, visible only once every 7 years. Sailors sought it for generations. Some even claimed to have landed on it, describing strange animals and advanced inhabitants. The island eventually vanished from charts, but the name lingered. Could Hy-Brasil be a misidentified island? Or was it something else? Perhaps a folk memory of rising sea levels drowning familiar land? Further south, in the sands of Arabia, we find Iram of the Pillars. Mentioned in the Quran as a magnificent city destroyed for its people's arrogance, Iram became known as the Atlantis of the sands. The story describes towering columns, unimaginable wealth, and sudden ruin. In the 1990s, satellite imagery revealed ancient caravan routes and ruins in the Rub al-Khali, or empty quarter desert. Among them was the lost city of Ubar, possibly connected to the Iram myth. Archaeologists remain cautious, but many believe the myth may be rooted in a real trade center that thrived and fell beneath the desert. The Baltic coast offers up a strange duo, Jomsborg and Vineta. Both were described as powerful trading cities, home to warrior clans and great wealth. Vineta, in particular, was said to rival Constantinople in splendor before being swallowed by the sea for its sins. Local legends tell of bells still ringing from underwater cathedrals. Today, some German historians believe Vineta may reflect a real Hanseatic city destroyed by flooding, pirate raids, or economic collapse. The myth, like so many, preserves the memory of a world lost to time. Then we reach Kitezh, the invisible city of Russia. According to legend, when the Mongols approached Kitezh, its devout people prayed, and the entire city sank beneath Lake Svetloyar. Only the pure of heart, they say, can still hear its bells or glimpse its golden domes beneath the water. The lake is real, and it's unusually deep, with no visible inlets or outlets. Pilgrims still visit Lake Svetloyar today, hoping for a vision. Whether Kitezh existed or not, its story speaks to the Russian soul of faith, mystery, and hidden holiness. We now plunge into the depths of the Indian Ocean, where ancient Tamil legends tell of a vanished land called Kumari Kandam. Said to be a cradle of early human civilization, Kumari Kandam was believed to have stretched from southern India toward Antarctica. It was a place of learning, art, and spirituality, home to the lost Tamil Sangams, or academies. Tamil nationalist thinkers in the 19th and 20th centuries embraced the idea, tying it to Dravidian pride and identity. While no geological evidence supports a continent of that scale, there are sunken land masses and ancient settlements along India's southern coast. As sea levels rose after the last ice age, entire coastal cultures may have been submerged, perhaps fuel for a myth that grew into legend. Nearby, we find Lemuria, a name coined by Victorian scientists before plate tectonics was fully understood. They hypothesized a lost continent to explain similarities between fossils found in India, Madagascar, and Africa. Though the theory was later debunked, the name stuck and was adopted by mystics who envisioned Lemuria as a spiritual paradise, a peaceful counter to Atlantis. Lemuria became part of esoteric teachings, describing a wise and ancient race destroyed by natural cataclysm. Today, Lemuria survives as a metaphor, less for geography and more for a lost human potential. Sailing east, we encounter Mu, an ancient and mythical continent believed to have existed in the Pacific Ocean. It gained popularity in the 19th century through the writings of Augustus Le Plongeon and James Churchward, who claimed the island of Mu was the birthplace of humanity and advanced knowledge. According to Churchward, Mu sank beneath the sea in a single catastrophic event. Critics pointed out the lack of evidence, and today it is considered a theory presented as scientific, but is not grounded in the scientific method. While concrete evidence of Mu's existence has proven elusive, the tantalizing clues discovered through underwater archaeology, ancient ruins and legends on surrounding Pacific islands, hint at the possibility of ancient cultures thriving in the depths of the Pacific. But what's curious is the similarity between stories of Mu, Atlantis, and Lemuria. All describe enlightened cultures wiped out suddenly. Echoes, perhaps, of real prehistoric disasters that left deep impressions on early peoples. Crossing into the windswept coasts of Wales, we find Llys Helig, the Palace of Helig. This legend tells of a royal palace near Penmaenmawr, once surrounded by fertile land. When a 6th century prince, Helig ap Glanog, defied a divine warning, the sea swallowed his court. At low tide, locals have reported seeing ancient stone formations just offshore, possibly remnants of old fish traps, or even Neolithic structures. Whether the tale is rooted in truth or not, it echoes the warnings found in so many drowned land legends. Pride leads to ruin, and nature always reclaims her own. In Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly we find Lyonesse, the home of Sir Tristan in Arthurian legend. Described as a fertile kingdom with 100 churches, Lyonesse was said to stretch between Cornwall and the Isles before it was submerged. The story parallels Welsh legends like Cantre'r Gwaelod and Breton tales of Llys. Interestingly, geological surveys have shown that land once connected parts of this region before sea levels rose thousands of years ago. Was Lyonesse real? Possibly, in part, but over time, its story was folded into the fabric of Arthurian romance, transforming lost land into poetic symbol. Now, to the mist-shrouded coast of Brittany, where lies the doomed city of Llys. According to Celtic legend, Llys was built below sea level, protected by dikes. Its fall came when Princess Dahut, corrupted by a demon, opened the gates and let the sea in. The city was consumed. Today the tides in the Bay of Lyonesse are treacherous, yet sailors still speak of bells beneath the waves. While the myth is moral in tone, cautioning against sin and excess, it may also preserve memory of coastal flooding or ancient seismic activity. As with so many lost cities, Llys reminds us that catastrophe and culture are never far apart. High in the Himalayas lies a different kind of lost world, Shangri-La. Though fictional, it draws from ancient Tibetan myths of Shambhala, a hidden kingdom of peace and spiritual enlightenment. First introduced to the West by James Hilton in his 1933 novel Lost Horizon, Shangri-La became a symbol of paradise on earth, a refuge from the chaos of modern life. Tibetan texts describe Shambhala as a real place, concealed from the world and accessible only to the pure of heart. It's said to house wisdom that will one day save the world. Though we have no physical proof of such a place, the enduring appeal of Shangri-La speaks to a universal human longing for harmony, for purpose, and for peace. In the vast plains of the American Southwest, Spanish conquistadors chased dreams of gold. What they sought were Quivira and Cibola, the fabled 7 cities of gold. Rumors swirled of vast wealth hidden deep in the interior. The truth, however, was far more modest. The cities never existed, at least not as imagined, but they led explorers on long, brutal expeditions into what is now New Mexico, Kansas, and Arizona. Their obsession created new myths, shaped colonial ambition, and left behind a legacy of wonder and destruction. Here, myth became motive, driving real events with real consequences. And finally, we arrive at the most famous golden city of them all, Eldorado. Originally a name for a man, not a place, Eldorado was the Gilded One, a tribal chief who, according to legend, covered himself in gold dust and bathed in a sacred lake. Over time, the tale evolved into a city, then a kingdom, and finally an entire continent of gold. Spanish explorers searched the Andes, the Amazon, and the Orinoco Basin. Some perished, some vanished, and none found what they were looking for. But in 1545, Spanish colonists did discover Cerro Rico in Bolivia, a mountain rich in silver that fueled European empires for centuries. So while Eldorado may have been fantasy, it was also a magnet. Since the 16th century, it has been drawing the world to the Americas in search of wealth and wonder. So what does it all mean? Are these tales simply poetic echoes of our ancestors' imaginations, or something more? Here's where it gets intriguing. Modern science is beginning to validate what ancient stories have claimed for centuries. Not the magic necessarily, but the memory. Take the post-Ice Age period, for example. Around 11,000 years ago, sea levels were as much as 120 meters lower than they are today. That means entire land masses, coastlines, settlements, and forests were slowly consumed by rising seas as the glaciers melted. It happened across every continent, and for those who lived through it, the memory would have been unforgettable. In fact, it may have become sacred. Graham Hancock, a widely read author and journalist, argues that many of these myths may be remnants of a forgotten chapter in human history. An advanced civilization wiped out by global cataclysm. While mainstream archaeology disputes the idea of a single, global ancient civilization, what's undeniable is that many sites thought to be purely mythical have turned out to be real. Troy, once believed to be a legend from Homer's Iliad, was discovered in the 19th century. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey rewrote our understanding of how early civilization formed, showing us that sophisticated spiritual architecture existed long before cities and agriculture. Then there's the surprising role of satellite imaging and underwater archaeology. Off the coast of India, near the submerged ruins attributed to Dvārakā, researchers have found evidence of urban planning, streets, and harbors, all dated to around 9,000 years ago. Off the coast of Japan, near Yonaguni, massive stone-like structures raise questions about human activity beneath the waves, though debate remains fierce. Even in the British Isles, studies of submerged forests and ancient peat beds along the coasts of Wales and Cornwall suggest that once inhabited land was lost to the sea, perhaps giving rise to stories like Cantre'r Gwaelod and Lyonesse. These weren't magical floods, they were real, but for those who lived through them, how else could such overwhelming forces be explained, except through divine retribution or supernatural power? And that brings us to the heart of it. These myths may not be literal, but they are not baseless either. They are records, encoded not in stone but in story, passed from generation to generation, shaped by memory, fear, longing, and hope. They remember floods, disappearances, and perhaps even glimpses of civilizations long forgotten. One of the most fascinating modern parallels is the global spread of flood myths. Nearly every culture, from the Sumerians to the Chinese to the indigenous peoples of the Americas, each has a version of a great deluge. Could these stories be collective memories of sea level rise at the end of the last ice age? If so, we may be looking at a kind of mythological cartography, where stories serve as maps to geological events. Even myths like Agartha or Shambhala, though seemingly fantastical, may carry metaphors for real cultural transitions, Times when knowledge was lost, when great cities fell, and when humanity retreated inward to survive. The evidence may not always be material. Sometimes it's linguistic, sometimes symbolic. But it's there, lurking just beneath the surface of myth, hinting that these legends are more than mere fiction. They are the fingerprints of forgotten truths, waiting to be rediscovered. So were these lands ever real? We may never find shining domes beneath Lake Svetloya or a golden city buried in the Amazon. And yet, beneath the symbolism and the embellishment, there are consistent patterns. Ancient people remembered floods, sinking coastlines and vanishing cities. They encoded these memories into stories that spread, endured and evolved. From Atlantis to Agartha, Lemuria to Lyonesse, the idea of lost lands isn't just about geography, it's about identity. These myths reflect our collective yearning to understand where we came from and what we may have lost. Whether it's the ruins beneath the ocean off Gujarat, the submerged forests of Wales, or phantom islands that appeared on sailors' charts, the line between history and legend blurs more often than we like to admit. Maybe that's the real power of myth, not that it tells us exactly what happened, but that it refuses to let us forget. It invites us to wonder, to explore, and to imagine that somewhere, hidden beneath the waves or buried beneath centuries of sediment and silence, a deeper truth still waits. In the end, mythological lands are more than just places. They are reflections of natural disasters, ancient wisdom, lost civilizations, and above all, the incredible resilience of human memory. And perhaps, somewhere out there, one of these myths is still waiting to be proven true. What do you think? Were any of these legendary lands real? Could they be lost chapters of history waiting to be uncovered? Or just echoes of dreams and fears from a forgotten world? Tell us in the comments, which lost land fascinates you the most? And what other myths, legends, or forgotten places should we explore in future episodes? If you enjoyed this journey into the forgotten corners of myth and mystery with Obscura Historia, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with fellow explorers of the unknown.